This is a HeadGum podcast.
Folks, it's time to get Quip. Me and Joe do it. It makes toothbrushing easy. Brushing your teeth, just like making love. The kind of thing you don't really know if you're doing it right till you start doing it right. And folks, Quip is brushing done right. It's the new electric toothbrush that packs just the right amount of vibrations into a slimmer design at a fraction of the cost of bulkier traditional electric brushes. It has guiding pulses that alert you when to switch sides, making brushing just the right amount of effortless. It's true, you really don't have to think about it. It lets you know when to move on to another quadrant of your mouth. Quip also comes with a mount that suctions right to your mirror and unsticks to use as a cover for hygienic travel anywhere, whether it's going in your gym bag or your carry-on. And because the thing that cleans your mouth should also be clean, Quip's subscription plan, or subquiption plan, surprised I didn't think of that, I'll have to let them know, refreshes your brush on a dentist-recommended schedule. They deliver new brush heads every 3 months for just $5, including free shipping worldwide. Quip's backed by a network of over 10,000 dental professionals, including dentists, hygienists, and dental students. Most toothbrushes don't get named one of Time Magazine's best inventions of the year, but Quip did. It's time to find out for yourself why. Quip starts at just $25, and if you go to getquip.com/CU right now, you'll get your first refill pack free with a Quip electric toothbrush. That's your first refill pack free at getquip.com/CU. GETQUIP.com/CU. Folks, it's going to be love at first brush. Hello, everybody, and welcome to another scintillating episode of We'll See You in Hell. On this week's episode, we'll be talking about the finale of the Twin Peaks reboot, but also the entire rebooted series at large. And don't you worry, because I know very few people watch the reboot. We'll be talking about many other things as well. And now, well, heck, I suppose we should go ahead and get on with the show, and in doing so, get on with the Joe.
I like that one. That might be my favorite.
A whispered?
Yeah, I like it.
All right.
It shows I don't need to come to you. You'll come to me. I set the tone here.
That's right.
I like that quite a bit. Pat,
Joe, I'm gonna just shout out a little tension in the room that you're probably not even aware of. I'm sitting here with an extreme amount of hair cut off of my head about 45 minutes ago. Mm-hmm. I haven't gotten a nice haircut. I'd take a did you get a haircut?
You think I haven't noticed it? I noticed it.
But you just don't give those sort of...
Maybe I was waiting for the podcast to start to say something.
I mean, Joe picked me up at my house. We were driving along. I'm like, well, I took off, probably a foot of hair.
Your hair looks great.
Thanks, Joe.
And I think this style of hair suits you better.
I think so, too. I was just not getting it cut out of busyness. And, like, you work a bunch. It's like things like a haircut and stuff. You're like, it's a luxury I don't have time for.
Sure.
And then one day you look in the mirror and you look like Cousin Goddamn It.
Sure.
From the Addams Family.
Sure.
And I like to fancy myself, back in the day when I should have done it, I never rocked that grungy Cobain look. I had the same haircut literally for about 32 years.
By the way, how has somebody not done some sort of YouTube mashup where it's the It trailer, but it's Cousin It instead of Pennywise? How is that not
I think because nobody gives a fuck about the Addams Family anymore.
Yeah, I guess so. It's not a funny joke, but I don't know. I'm surprised it hasn't happened. Anyway, your cut looks good. I like it.
Thanks.
Shows off more of that delicious face, I'd call it.
High and tight, baby.
Yeah.
I truly, I would say the exact same haircut for 90% of my life. And then I like the long at times, but, you know, you can't control it. It gets in your hair. It gets in your face, you know. You ever have a long hair? You don't seem like it would
but
work
mine
for
like
you.
gets more like afro-y.
Okay.
Because it's curly. But, you know, you with the long hair, it didn't look bad, but it did at times make you look like some kind of card shark, you know, or something like that.
Yeah.
I like you with the cleaner cut, to be honest.
Sure. I had an old roommate who really loved when I started growing it out and would just, like, praise me all day. You got to go longer, crazier, wilder. And it got in my head, you know, especially when you get your hair cut looking all nice and your dear friend Joe can't say so much as 2 words about it.
I said it. I was waiting for the thing to start.
All right.
But we also don't cop. I got to tell you something I was a little sad about.
Oh.
We went to that Emmys party the other week.
Bad party. Frankly.
Not a great party, but an okay party.
Had a bad time.
I felt that I really
Saw some bad people.
put the whole suit together tremendously.
You did.
And you didn't say anything, and it kind of bothered me. I had a black shirt, gray suit, black shoes. I mean, it came together. It was sharp. And I thought you would say, like, hey, dude, you're looking snazzy.
Did Heather tell you you look nice? She's good about that kind of
No. And I was,
Oh.
and then when she didn't say it, I was like, I must look terrible.
thing. No, I mean, we had some cocktails. I'll blame it on that. But that was just the whole party. I would say from the second I walked in the door, I said, God damn, I wish I had stayed home. And that's not always the case. I'm not hugely social. I don't love a party. But that one, the vibe was immediately off. It was the Comedy Central party. Now,
I will say this.
just last year, that party was popping and swinging, and I had a blast. And this year, it was dead and weird and awkward. And
it was a very, but because this year they had it after the Creative Emmys.
yes, correct.
And also, too, there was not a party vibe this year.
No.
Everybody I was running into at that party, I was like, well, this guy doesn't really drink. Like, I was desperately trying to find people that were ready to throw him back, and nobody was really. It's like there's like 4 open bars in the place. It's like, come on, let's go have some fun, man. Like,
I know.
And it just didn't have that vibe. Even my buddy Jonas, who works over at Comedy
name is
Central.
Jonas.
His name is Jonas. Yes.
He's carrying the
Not
well.
my name.
Yeah.
His name. My name is Weep Hill. He
Baffling lyrics. I mean, of course, that's one of the best albums ever made, the Weezer Blue album. But what does any of that mean on My Name Is Jonas? The other songs are very clear.
Are they Bible references, I think?
Well, Jonas and the Whale, yes, but not Weep
but it's
Hill.
Jonah and the Whale.
Yeah, so
Not Jonas.
and it's not whale, it's wheel. My name is Jonas. I'm carrying the wheel.
I don't know.
Thanks for all you've shown us. This is how we feel.
I mean, talk about a group that went from having a little mystery in the lyrics to just laying it all on the table. They got
Now
a new
the songs
song
are like, I love rock and roll music and glasses on my face.
Their new song is like a tribute to the Beach Boys.
They're
Like literally that's what it's about. It's about like I love the Beach Boys.
I always say no one in my life has ever let me down like Weezer. And I'm a guy who everyone I know disappoints me in a huge way at some point. Weezer, you go Blue, you go Pinkerton. Anybody wants to argue which one of those is better, I'm happy to side. Depending on the day, I'll side with Blue being better or Pinkerton being better. Green, I was like, these songs all follow a very specific formula. It's a little corny, but it's still very catchy and good. Maladroit, underrated, but we're dipping into some problem areas.
I feel like
Everything beyond that was a fucking train wreck.
You take Maladroit and the Green album, and you can piece together a decent album between the two.
The best of Maladroit and the best of Green is a great album.
Yeah.
Possibilities, the punk song on Maladroit is great.
And Gone Fishing is awesome.
Gone Fishing is great.
The one that's like, whoa, 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 whatever that song is on Maladroit. It's the second song. Here in my head.
Sure.
Yeah. That's classic, like fun Weezer, you know.
Yeah, there are great songs on both. When you get into the one with Hurley from Lost on the cover.
Don't even bring it up
There's
to
a
me.
song on that called Peace and Love with like a sitar in the background that is arguably the worst song ever written. But then every time a Weezer album comes out, all these fucking nerds come out of their coffins and they're like, hey, this one's a real return to form. Well, and I go, you know what? Okay, I'll give it a spin. And it's terrible.
I will say this. Not the new one that's coming out now, but the last one that came out.
It was dog shit. I know you liked it. It was dog shit.
I wouldn't say I liked it. Was as close to a Weezer album as you were going to get.
What was your favorite song on it? You remember any of the songs? No, of course you couldn't.
But I remember the first song sort of was like Tired of Sex, and it had moments. It had redeeming moments, and I was like, you know what? If this album would have came after the Green album, I would have given it a shot. Yeah. It was that kind of thing. But I mean, it was certainly a step in the right direction from fucking Beverly Hills. That's where I want to be.
That's where I want to be.
And I can't even tell if he's being sarcastic or not. I can't tell.
I don't even think he knows.
Yeah.
And then there's always one song where he's like, I fucked a 13-year-old Asian girl. And you're like, wait, what was that line? What'd you say, Rivers?
Yeah,
I love him so much. But here's my question, Joe, and it's a question I'm sure I've posed in this podcast because it's a question I ask myself every day. If the Weezer Blue album, and we don't know anything about Weezer, if that album drops today, is it the success it was back then? The answer to that I'm just going to go ahead and say is no. But would I love it as much now? And I think sadly, tragically, the answer is also no. There's no chance I would listen to that every time I got in the car for 3 years as I did for Blue and Pinkerton.
Well, I didn't listen to it every day, so it never hit me like that. But I did like the album.
A complete obsession with me and my friends where we sang every lyric every time we drove around.
I didn't get into Weezer till Pinkerton.
I love that.
When Pinkerton came out, I was like, oh yeah, the new Weezer. I was like, yeah, I guess that's sort of it. Maybe I'll check it out.
Yeah.
And my RA in my dorm, Chris, played it for me. And I just remember being like, holy shit, man, this is really dark, but it still sounds like Weezer. This is really fucking cool.
It's a masterpiece.
And then I retroactively got more into the Blue album, even though I was fairly familiar with it.
Right.
But if the Blue album...
So, I mean, Surf Wax America, for Christ's sake.
Yeah.
What do you want?
In the Garage.
In the Garage is an amazing song. Only in Dreams. I always play Only in Dreams on the jukebox because it's like getting 3 songs for one. It's a 9-minute song.
So you get, but here's the thing: if those albums came out today, commercial successes I can't speak to, probably not. But I still think if I heard those for the first time today, I'd be pretty blown away. I'd be like, wow, this is an amazing. I remember when that Blue album came out, Pinkstone playing it for me and going, this band sounds like if Nirvana and the Beastie Boys did an album together. And I was like, oh yeah, you're right. I'm sorry, the Beach Boys.
Right?
Beach Boys, excuse me.
Oh, okay.
Sorry, I said Beastie Boys. He was like, this sounds like if the Beach Boys and Nirvana got mixed together. And it was like, yeah, you're right.
Yeah, I'd buy that.
You know, so it was a very good assessment. I was going to tell another Pinkstone story. What were we talking about earlier?
Pinkerstone.
What were we talking about earlier, though, before this?
Weezer, and then my haircut, I think, is all we've covered.
Your haircut? God damn it.
Boy, it's really slipping for you, isn't it?
It is. You're seeing the pattern, right? You're seeing the pattern. I'm regularly forgetting things. I can't remember. I can't remember words anymore.
Well, I am the one who listens to our podcast each week. Joe doesn't, and I think I think you'd be really pleasantly surprised, because sometimes even when I listen to it the next day, I'm like laughing at our own banter, which is really smelling your own shit. It's very narcissistic.
Sick.
I have to listen to it to make sure there's no weird pops or whistles or anything. Somebody has to listen to it. And, Joe really more and more each week will start a sentence and then be like, what was I talking about? It happens a lot. And this past week you were kind of angry at yourself about it. I feel I struggle with my short-term memory as well. We know the reason. It's marijuana. But
no, I don't smoke marijuana. Maybe I got a wet brain. Do you think I got wet brain?
I don't know, but more and more, we've only talked about 2 things, and now you're trying to figure out what we're talking about.
No, I'm not trying to figure out. I'm not lost.
All right.
I'm not wandering around the room as we podcast.
All right.
I'm just trying to remember. There was a Pinkstone thing I wanted to say to you that was that had to do with something you were talking about. And
we only talked about Weezer. You know that Weezer has an album called Ratitude, right?
It makes me sick.
Yeah.
It makes me sick.
Actually, Peace and Love might be on Ratitude, but that was the last one I listened to all the way through, and it shook me to my goddamn core.
Ratitude. Hurley.
Yeah.
As we already mentioned.
With the guy from Lost on the cover.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That Red album is the album, I believe, that has the Beverly Hills song on it.
Well, it also has Pork and Beans, and Pork and Beans is really catchy.
Look, Beverly Hills is catchy. Doesn't mean I want to fucking listen to it.
Beverly Hills feels like Limp Bizkit to me. Pork and Beans is...
Limp Bizkit?
That's what I said.
No, what? It sounds nothing like Limp Bizkit.
It's douche rock to me.
But it's like a pop song. It doesn't sound like Limp Bizkit.
Beverly Hills.
Limp Bizkit would be like, Beverly Hills! All
right, well, then it sounds like Sugar Ray to me.
There you go. All right, we'll say the right reference the first time.
Stop it. You know, one of the greatest concerts I've ever been to.
Gallagher.
Certainly not in terms
97.
of quality. But it was a 90s show at the Greek Theater, and I went with a bunch of coworkers about, at this point, 5-6 years ago. And it was Marcy Playground. It was one of those 90s reunion tours.
I
Marcy
smell
Playground.
sex and candy.
Sex and Candy.
Yeah, I like that song.
Then it was Gin Blossoms, who I consider one of the most underrated bands. You talk about their first album.
You know what, Walsh? I've been waiting for a while for us to harshly disagree.
Their first album is a classic.
I will throw this fucking drink at you, and here's why. Here's how wrong you are.
There isn't a bad song on that first album.
I had a joke where the punchline was Gin Blossoms, and it got a laugh. Because people were like, oh, yeah, they suck.
Yeah, because they're unfairly aligned with your Smash Mouths, your Hoobastank, and everybody else on this bill.
No. I put them in a different shitty category. I'm putting Gin Blossoms below Smash Mouth. I'll listen to Walking on the Sun before I listen to Found Out About You.
Well, I'm talking about their first album. Found Out About You is an amazing song, by the way.
Oh,
but
Christ.
They also have one of my favorite songs ever about addiction called Hold Me Down.
Okay.
Brilliant lyrics to this song. And the story of the Gin Blossoms is so tragic, it makes me like them even more.
Okay, what's the story? They actually went forward as a band and released their music.
Their guitarist, their first album's called New Miserable Experience.
Yeah, I know.
And their second one is called Congratulations, I'm Sorry.
Yeah.
Congratulations, I'm Sorry is a dream album title. How many times have I said I'm sorry to somebody where the subtext is congratulations?
All right, I'll give you
I'm sorry.
I'll give you the album title, but tell me why this first album is so brilliant.
Well, I mean, to me, they're like a Big Star. You know, Big Star.
What did Big Star sing?
Big Star is a lost kind of. It's a very like Alex Chilton 70s 60s band. You might know a few of their songs, but they're pretty lost to history, unfortunately, and they made great music. And Gin Blossoms was kind of ripping them off.
I put Gin Blossoms next to Candlebox.
You're out of your fucking mind. You're out of your fucking mind.
Who sang? You know what band I did like?
Although the Eastbound and Down, where they played Far Behind at the funeral of the Jason Sudeikis character,
right?
I rewound that about 25
Who was the band that sang "So Let's Gel"? Come together, yeah.
Wait.
Haven't let your light shine down.
Let's mingle, make it well.
Yeah.
Well,
I like that band.
I don't know about that, but Haven't Let Your Light Shine Down is Collective Soul. Did they also do Let's Mingle?
That's Gel.
And they also do.
I think it is.
They also did from Varsity Blues. They've got a long way to run. And that's
I'm wrong.
Song.
That's not Collective. You're right. That's Collective Soul. Gel is in Collective Soul. Gel.
I don't think so.
Wait, bear now.
Let's mingle.
Yeah,
make it well. I don't know who that is, but they sound nothing like the Gin Blossoms.
I know they don't. That's why I like them.
And then Local H was Born to Be Down.
It is Collective Soul.
Okay, yeah. Collective Soul has some great songs too.
Yeah.
The Gin Blossoms, here's their story. Their guitarist wrote all their best songs, not their lead singer. And the guitarist was a extreme alcoholic. The lyrics to the song "Hold Me Down," and by the way, if I were to present you the poem of "Hold Me Down," and you didn't know it was a Gin Blossom song, you'd be like, "This is the best description of being addicted to something I've ever heard."
All right.
because the guy had some fucking demons.
Fair enough.
He also, he did Your Hate, Jealousy. He did all the big Jim Blossoms hits.
All the big ones, all the hits.
Now, as the time comes where they're getting ready to go out for their second album, he can't stop drinking. He's showing up to practices drunk. Still, by all accounts, playing beautifully and still writing clearly the best songs in the band because they never had a hit again. But the band finally had an intervention, and we're like, "I'm sorry, your drinking has become too much.
Congratulations, I'm sorry.
Congratulations, I'm sorry. We're throwing you out of the band.
Right.
You can't stop drinking, and we don't like it. We don't like that you're showing up to shows drunk, whatever." He leaves and kills himself.
Right.
Like almost immediately.
For what he had inflicted on the world with these two records.
You know what, Joe?
The man couldn't live with himself.
Folks, please take record of how I am not laughing at this at all. Because the man was a great fucking songwriter. And they were in the wrong time. They were a band in the wrong time. They should have been contemporaries of a big star. There are some fantastic pop rock songs on their first album.
They sounded like Matchbox 20.
No,
it was
they didn't.
Like very much in that same thing.
They didn't, but Matchbox 20 knew how to craft a pop song as well. Gin Blossoms are a far superior band.
Want to hear a great thing that'll make you like the guy from Matchbox 20?
By the way, I'm nowhere near even the first part of talking about this concert. We've become so sidetracked.
The Gin Blossoms concert? Oh, wait. That's right. Now, the Gin Blossoms
but what were you going to say?
Marcy Plague. He wrote a great article. What's that guy's name again?
Rob Thomas.
All right. I almost
You're
said...
talking about the article where he said he was the first guy who ever got fat being addicted to cocaine?
No. That's hilarious.
That's when I loved him, yeah.
He wrote an article about how everybody hates him because he's Rob Thomas. And he's just like, yeah, I'm like a cool guy. Like, I'm sorry that you don't like my band, but like, we just do what we do. Like, it doesn't mean I'm an asshole.
Oh, God bless him. He probably has $40 million.
He tells this story at the end of the article where he was hanging out with David Cross.
Yeah.
And everything, and like they were having a great time until David Cross figured out who he was and then was like shitty to him. And he's like, what the fuck, man? And he goes, and then, to add insult to injury, David Cross thought I was Scott Stapp.
Oh.
Right? And he goes, this is the last line of the article. Scott Stapp, he's my Rob Thomas.
That's great. Yeah.
Yeah, I really like that guy a lot. Like, I think I don't like his music, but I think that he's a hilarious guy.
I hated Rob Thomas, but when Smooth first hit the airwaves, before everyone got sick of it, I was like, you can't deny this song.
It's the greatest selling record of all time.
It is catchy as fuck. And a catchy song is not an easy thing to do.
It makes me, when I hear it now, I see red.
Sure.
I mean, it's a blind rage. I just picture Angela Bassett getting her groove back to it in some outdoor cabana bar. It's not. The song sucks. But
this, this show was Marcy Playground, who I had no interest in.
But they did Sex and Candy.
And they played Sex and Candy.
Tell Me Better Than Ezra showed up and
they
gave you a little,
but Good is a great song.
I love that song.
Now, Better Than Ezra are the slightly shittier Gin Blossoms.
You're a fucking idiot.
They are.
You're an idiot. And here's why. The guy from Better Than Ezra said, when I wrote Good, I was trying to write a Pixies song. And when you listen to it through that filter, you go, oh, yeah, it does kind of sound like a Pixies song.
Good is a great song.
But I have never heard one Gin Blossom song that sounds like that.
Also, one of the most perfect Norm Macdonald Weekend Update jokes, one of my all-time favorite Norm Macdonald Weekend Update jokes was number 2 on the adult alternative charts this week. Better Than Ezra. Number 3, Ezra. Really, a truly perfect
And
joke.
I bet you it bombed, right?
It bombed, of course.
Yeah.
So this show was at the Greek Theater. Very fun. It was, as I said, Marcy Playground.
Mm-hmm.
It was...
The Gin Blossoms.
Lit.
What did Lit sing again?
You make me come. You make me complete.
Ugh.
You make me completely miserable.
I don't even remember the song.
Do you remember... Did you forget about the things I said when I was drunk? Yeah, they had a good album, too.
Please tell me why.
We're singing beautifully tonight.
Yeah.
But Miserable is a really great song to this day.
Remind me to hit you with my favorite 90s song when you're done.
I'd love it. But For some reason, maybe it was weed influenced or I don't know, but we got a real kick this night out of me saying, "You make me palm. You make me palm frites.
Mm-hmm.
You make me palm fritesly miserable." They were selling palm frites at the venue. Clearly, we were high.
Doesn't make any sense, Pat.
I'll tell you, we loved it.
I'm sure you
I
did.
tweeted it, and the people of Twitter loved it as well. I don't know why. It just captured the zeitgeist, you know? It was of its time. Then it was the Gin Blossoms who killed it. Then it was Sugar Ray. Now, I have always hated Sugar Ray, except for their one kind of more rockin' song, which is called Answer the Phone, which is a great pop-punk song. And I have
Not a fan.
certainly in those days, I had some affection for the pop-punk genre. But Sugar Ray fully embraced how washed up they were, and it was a funny, fun time. Then out comes Joe, the headliner, Everclear. Everclear, who wrote the same song 500 times.
But I'm listening because I like that damn song.
Giga-gown-gown, giga-gown-gown, giga-gown-gown-gown-gown. I love Santa Monica, their first big hit.
Sure.
Beyond that, I can give or take them.
Almost interchangeable with the Toadies Backwater.
Well, now the Toadies are one of my favorite.
Listen, I like the Toadies quite a bit, but I'm saying those two songs you could do like a mega mix thing.
Right. The Toadies' first two albums, I mean, I consider them really fantastic.
The Toadies are
work.
a great band.
Beyond that, they're not, but their first two albums
But
are
the
great.
Toadies are one of those bands like Faith No More where they got popular and are only known for the one song, and you're like, no, there's so much.
Yes.
There's so much more.
Correct.
Okay, good.
But Everclear was very like self-important and kind of sucky. And at some point, I was very into Twitter at this point, probably 5 years ago. I tweeted something derogatory about Everclear. Within 10 minutes of Everclear leaving the stage, I had a hateful tweet from the drummer of Everclear where he was like, "I'd like to see you write some of the best fucking songs that defined an entire decade, you motherfucker." And then that was really the first time, because I had almost no followers at this point, where I was like, yeah, what words can hurt.
Yeah.
Words can hurt.
Words can hurt.
You're drumming in Everclear, you think you're cool, you go back. Wonder what people thought of the show.
What would you have done if he went and killed himself after that?
Now don't bring that up.
No, I'm just saying. I'm asking. What would you have done?
Probably nothing, I mean, to be honest. But he was also like a late addition. He wasn't even like original Everclear member. You know?
Oh, well then fuck him.
I agree.
Oh, that's lame. That's like one of the roadies firing back at you.
Right. Now, what is your favorite 90s song you were going to sing?
It's quite arguably, we went on the ride, we sat at Hermosa, we bumped the one to see who run that day.
Fastball, The Way.
Yeah.
It's a fantastic
Which to
song.
me, it's almost, and this is a Pinkstone thing, we've talked about this, it's almost a prototype for a modern Spoon song. It sounds like Spoon.
Sure.
It's got that Spanish guitar in it. It's got the super catchy hook. That
Fastball
song
was great. Fastball was ripping off Elvis Costello,
Yes.
which is my favorite artist of all time.
That
Fastball
song-
also had a great song, "You're an Ocean." You remember that song?
I only know the way.
You're an ocean. Yeah, great
I
song.
only know the way. But I love that song. Makes me happy in ways
Yeah.
that I can't even. I mean, I love that fucking song.
Now
I made
everybody
a 90s
knows,
mix once, and it had that song.
Sure.
It had Toadies, Backwater. It had Everclear, Santa Monica. It had Stars by Hum.
Oh, that's a great song.
It
yeah.
had oh fuck, man! This Soundgarden song, "Bow on the line, oh don't tonight."
Killer. I don't know what the song is called. Soundgarden, I love their early stuff, but really they hit a real, I mean, Down on the Upside is arguably better than Super Unknown.
Down on the Upside, I finally got it on vinyl. They re-released
I got
it
it too.
finally. It's a double vinyl.
Yep,
I've
I
been
got it.
listening to it quite a bit.
Blow Up the Outside World is one of my favorite songs.
Is that the one that's like, blow up the outside?
No, that's not Blow Up the Outside World, the song where the lyrics are Blow Up the Outside. It's actually a different song.
But that's that one. That's the one, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a fucking awesome song.
It's got that's a real it goes through a lot of changes throughout.
It's a great song. Pretty Noose is my favorite
killer.
Soundgarden song next to Outshine.
Outshine! The worst ever performance I've ever seen on Saturday Night Live.
I know what you're
Soundgarden. His voice was shot.
Yeah,
Jim
when they
Carrey was hosting.
They're doing Pretty Noose. He can't hit the notes. It's like
I was like, oh my god, Jim Carrey and Soundgarden in their primes. What a killer night! And he was just like voice going out every note.
yeah,
Sounded terrible.
He couldn't do it. But
No.
it was clear that it just. I'll tell you what was beautiful and heartbreaking is the when Whitney Houston died. He does that. It was a Chris Cornell concert, and he comes out for the encore, and he does an acoustic version of "I Will Always Love You," and he dedicates it to her.
I've seen it.
And
I've seen it.
I mean, he wails it the fuck out. Like,
Yeah.
that guy was awesome, man. I'm sad that he died.
Same here.
You know,
I watched, and I certainly don't wish death on Eddie Vedder. Absolutely not. He's a very talented man and a songwriter.
Where are you going with this, Walsh?
I'm saying my least favorite of those Pearl Jam, Nirvana, Soundgarden, your big three. My least favorite by 1 billion% is Pearl Jam.
That's nuts.
1
You're
billion
nuts.
%.
You're nuts.
I've never really gotten into a Pearl Jam song or album. I think they're decent. I had a friend in high school, Mike Curry, who was obsessed with them. Mike, I think you might be listening. Hello. He would play them incessantly, and you got to hear this song. You got to hear this live. Remember they released 5,000 live albums.
I don't give a shit about any of that stuff. But I'll tell you this, man.
They're not my thing.
I've made many a Pearl Jam mix where every song sweeps me away. I heard "Do the Evolution" in the car today, and I was jumping out of my seat.
I like that one.
The Hail, Hail, fucking Animal, Even Flow. I go Nirvana, Pearl Jam, Soundgarden, and then in fourth place I'm going to put your old STP because I feel like they were the fourth.
I'll take STP over Pearl Jam.
Shut up.
Absolutely.
Patrick. Shut your fucking
Absolutely.
mouth. Shut your dirty mouth.
The first number 4 is weak. The first 3 Stone Temple Pilots albums are better than the first 3 Pearl Jam albums.
You are a crazy man.
Sorry.
You think
I know.
Stone Temple Pilots Purple is better than Versus.
Purple is phenomenal.
I didn't say I didn't like
and
the album.
Tiny Music is a masterpiece.
Tiny Music is, let's not get carried away here. It's not a masterpiece. It's a good album.
Very
it's
underrated.
a good album.
Did I ever tell you about when I saw Stone Temple Pilots?
Yeah, 100 times. The guy's wife puked on her tits,
Jesus,
and he
I'm
gave you
sorry.
the tickets to the Vegas show, and you went in and you watched it.
Jesus,
it was,
I'm sorry.
You sat in the front row, and it was great.
Yep.
That's basically the story,
Yeah,
right?
that's it. Yep. Guess the gloves
Folks,
are coming
just
off.
to tell you where we're at right
I put
now.
Pearl Jam, you could list a bunch of, I don't even like Alice in Chains. I might take them over Pearl Jam.
I would give you Alice in Chains over Pearl Jam, even though I don't
I'll take
agree.
Stone Temple Pilots over Alice in Chains and Pearl Jam.
You're Pat. You're talking like an asshole.
They got better songs.
No, they don't.
They got better
What
songs.
are you talking about right now?
Sorry. They got better songs.
You think, dude, fucking Them Bones, Rain When I Die, Man in the Box, I Stay Away,
Unglued.
No
Plush,
Excuses.
Interstate Love Song.
I love Interstate Love Song. That was on my 90s mix.
It's a killer song.
That was on my 90s mix. I didn't say they didn't have good songs.
I'll take the Toadies over Pearl Jam.
I would give you the Toadies, but you can't say Stone Temple Pilots is better than Pearl Jam. That's an insane
They were just
statement.
not my thing. It's just a matter of taste.
Well, bad taste, actually. It's a matter of bad taste.
All right.
So all of you remember when you were feeling you wanted to support Pat during his Gin Blossoms argument, saying this guy just likes the band.
Can I
Remember
say
that
something?
He just said Stone Temple Pilots was better than Pearl Jam.
Even though I know Gin Blossoms only have 1 1/4 good albums, I'll take Gin Blossoms over Pearl Jam.
You make me
And I won't
sick.
hesitate to do so.
You're just saying this to make me angry.
I'm not. I won't hesitate
You
to do
make me
so.
sick to my stomach.
Have you
This is
heard the
what
entire
happens.
first Gin
This is what
Blossoms
happens.
album?
You come out here to Hollywood, you become a pig. Become a
Have you
damn
heard the
pig
first Gin
person.
Blossoms
No. Why would I hear it?
I urge you all to check it out.
I just don't care enough. I've never liked one song. I've never once.
You didn't enjoy "Hey Jealousy."
No.
Then we're different. We're
hate
different
that
people.
song.
We're different people.
I hate that song.
All right, fine.
I hope that song kills itself.
All right,
How
fine.
about that?
Fine.
How about that? I hope it's never played ever again. Now I'm going to get a hate tweet from the replacement guitarist in the Gin Blossoms.
I had a friend who I made fun of for years. The guitarist in Gin Blossoms is dead. But
No, the replacement.
Oh,
like how you got the replacement
I'll take
drummers
the
hate
replacements over Pearl Jam.
tweet. The replacement drummer. That was a callback, Pat.
No, I got it.
All right.
My friend for years thought that the song "Hey Jealousy" was about a woman named Jealousy, and we all made fun of him for that.
Pat, I got to tell you, as negligent as we are on this podcast
Yes.
about not talking about the movie,
Yeah.
we are
But-
34 minutes in. We haven't touched a segment. We haven't touched the review. I mean, this is truly incredible.
But I got to tell you, Joe, people, when I look at the Facebook page, I know you don't have Facebook, and I envy you for it. They're always citing shit that generally is completely off the
All right.
path. I'm happy to talk about other things.
Well, I mean, we're just to tell you where we're at right now. We're recording this episode 2 days after we recorded the last episode because of some scheduling problems we had. So there's really nothing to talk about for Pat's Movie Corner. There is nothing to talk about.
I did see a movie. And
You did?
Yeah.
In that short period of
I saw a
time.
movie last night with
What'd
my
you see?
lady friend. I saw Kingsman 2.
How was it?
Did you see Kingsman 1?
No.
You still haven't, and I told you should.
I know. I'm not against it. I just haven't seen it yet.
So I hate superhero movies. As I have said a million times. I find them lazy and boring. I went into Kingsman like, all right, let's see what this is, and was blown away by it. And the final scene of the first Kingsman is still one of the most shocking things I have ever seen in a mainstream movie, and I could not believe that it happened.
Okay.
And I urge you to watch it. I think it's great. So I was moderately excited about Kingsman 2, but as I know, Heather, my girlfriend, loved the first one. We both got our movie passes. By the way, you can now get Movie Pass, which Joe and I both have, for $10 a month. They have zero customer service. It's an atrocious company. But you can see a movie a day for a month, so 30 movies a month if you want, for $10.
Yeah.
We're not getting money from them either, but it's an amazing deal.
Yeah.
I used to do this when it was $40 and thought it was an amazing deal.
Yeah.
So we go into Kingsman 2, and I'm kind of dreading it because as we walk in, I see that it's like 145 minutes, which is every movie now, 2.5 hours. And it starts out, I'm like, I don't even, they're kind of, it's a big thing of sequels nowadays where they assume that you love the movie a lot more than you do.
Sure.
So they'll start alluding to things that you're like, I don't even remember what that was. I turned
Right.
to Heather. I'm like, is this the same girl at the end of the first one? She had no idea.
Right.
But, you know, it's entertaining. It's entertaining. It's entertaining. Julianne Moore in the movie has her own, almost like a Universal City Walk. You ever been up there?
Yeah.
Like her own like little world with all these restaurants and things. And her whole goal is to legalize drugs.
Okay.
And have them taxed and everything and try to make money off them. And once this subplot starts up, I'm like, this movie's got a lot of shit going on. And as my buddy pointed out to me, he saw it as kind of a Paul Verhoeven kind of satire. And I did as well. The president in this movie gets impeached. He's nothing like Trump, but clearly like there's something going on here.
Right.
He's like, fuck these drug addicts. We'll kill them all. Anyone who's ever used drugs, their veins turn blue in their face and they get all weird or whatever. And then he learns that like some of his advisors have used drugs and stuff. I don't know if I'm explaining this well, but
Why are their veins turning blue?
you know, you'll find out if you see the movie. But anyone who's done drugs, this shows up.
Do they
on
make
them.
a new drug too, where it's called like jazz?
They have an anecdote.
All these kids are doing jazz.
They have an anecdote, yes. But
Right.
he learns that like his advisors do drugs too and the hypocrisy of it. But he wants them all killed anyway. They're like, but what about the person who works a 20-hour workday and wants to have a puff of a joint or whatever? And the president's like, fuck them all, kill them. Like, the satire in this movie is off the charts. It's an insane movie. Visually, it's spectacular. The fight scenes are the best I've seen in ages, maybe since the first Kingsman. And there's a subplot, and I won't even say who it is, but it's a big pop star.
Ugh.
No, but you're going to like it.
Oh, okay. All right.
Big all-time classic pop star. I'm not talking about Coldplay or something. And where they go with this is nuts. This is a movie that probably cost $200 million, and it's taken some of the biggest swings I've seen in ages.
So is it good or bad?
I was entertained for the entire 2.5 hours, didn't check my watch once. And then at the end, I turned to Heather, and I was like, I fucking loved that. And she was like, I did as
good.
well.
All right.
It's nuts. They're very inventive, crazy, like anarchic movies at a time when every movie is the same.
Okay.
And I really, really loved it. I love both of them. I probably preferred the first one, even though I'm raving about the second one. But I just admire that they're getting made. They're nuts. And this one really had something to say. I loved it.
Great.
I loved it.
Oh, good.
I urge you all
I
to
didn't
see
think
it.
that's where you were going with it. I thought you were going to say it was like a mess and you hated it.
It's a mess, and I loved it.
All right, good.
And it has currently, I think, a 40%.
Really?
That's why you can't trust Rotten Tomatoes. It's stupid.
Yeah.
I'll say the weakest link of it, sadly, is Jeff Bridges. And he comes on the scene. Channing Tatum and him are doing like a Kentucky. They're running like a bourbon distillery.
I don't even understand anymore. I tweeted the other day. I mean, I look forward to being part of what will become to be known as the Jeff Bridges only did weird Southern characters phase. It's like, why is everything he's in now? He's got a cowboy hat and he's like, oh, I think the Joe. Why is that all he's doing?
I really
now?
hated it. And when he turns around at first, like, I mean, we're talking one of my favorite actors here.
Yeah.
When he turns around and they give him the reveal and he's like, y'all want a ship of bourbon? Or, I'm like, oh, Christ. And every time he came on, I was waiting for the moment he would be off. I wanted more Joel Edgerton and less Jeff Bridges.
And I know how you feel about Joel Edgerton. You're not a fan.
I also think Joel Edgerton, even though he's only like 30 years old, I think he has hair plugs. And I want you to look at this and see if you agree with me.
Of a sip of bourbon, baby needs a refill.
Go ahead, Joe.
Because it's 10 of 11 on a Wednesday night, and why not? Why not? By the way, I'm 2 in. I've had 2 bourbons already.
Wow.
You're still on that 1 tequila.
Yeah.
Please tell me it was a pretty hopped up tequila, though.
I'll take another splash.
Okay, good.
I'm just nursing it.
Talk to the people, because I do have something for Pat's Movie Corner.
I'll talk to them. But, folks, if you've seen Kingsman, you know what I'm talking about. If you haven't, watch it. The final scene of Kingsman is I would say, for me, in terms of mainstream cinema, one of the craziest things I've ever seen in a big movie like that. I really do think so. To end a movie like that, I can't believe anyone signed off on it. I'm not going to spoil it for Joe, or if you haven't seen it.
All right.
Kingsman 2 kind of tries to do a similar thing where he has to put a tiny condom on his finger, and he's got to put a tracking device in a woman. Okay. So he meets her, and these 2 guys are competing to see who's going to be the one to do it. But they have to finger her to get the tracking device into her vagina. Okay. And it was, again, like you watch this whole scene. It goes on for like 20 minutes. You kind of can't believe what's happening. Like I'm so glad that these movies were greenlit. Matthew Vaughn did them both, and I guess he did he did Layer Cake, which is awesome, and then maybe X-Men 3.
No, X-Men 3 is Brett
Ratner.
Brett.
He did X-Men something, right?
His name is Matthew Vaughn. I believe did Days of Future Past, which was the
yes,
best X-Men.
It was great. And he did one of the worst movies I've ever seen, which is Stardust, starring Robert De Niro.
Dog shit.
I would say an F-.
Dog shit.
When I say one of the worst movies I've ever seen, I'm not exaggerating.
Terrible.
But Vaughn is a guy to watch. I mean, he's I don't know. To go to see a 2.5-hour movie and not be bored is a special thing. But that's all I've seen, and now I've talked about it for a long time.
Well, I've got something.
Can anyone hear you? I would imagine no.
Well, the mic is like pointing at me. They could probably hear me like in a not a great
I can
way.
go ahead and keep talking if you need me to.
Keep talking.
All right. Speaking of talking, folks.
Look who's talking.
That's what I was about to say. I just had a quick flash of saying, look who's talking at the Dollar Show. When I was a kid, I had to wait for every movie to come to the Dollar Show. It's always nice when your friends are all enjoying Batman and you see it 3 years later at the Dollar Show. They used to let movies be in the theater for a long time. But the first Look Who's Talking, what do you think that's like watching that now? I remember loving it. Look Who's Talking 2 was terrible, and then Look Who's Talking Now, where it's dogs with the voices of Danny DeVito and Diane Keaton.
Even as a child, when they came out with the sequels, I was like, why don't you get the fuck out of my face?
Yeah.
But did I love that first one. I think I saw it in the drive-in.
Well, we accelerated our sex talk with my parents because they show you that sperm thing at the beginning.
Yeah.
And I was like, what was that?
Man, did I love that Look Who's Talking.
Sure.
And that was sort of a comeback for Travolta.
It was, and Kirstie Alley as well.
But then he faded away, and then Pulp Fiction was the real comeback. So here's the thing: are you going to tell a story?
I would consider the comeback Michael.
Speaking of comebacks,
yeah,
and Travolta, this is what I have for Pat's Movie Corner. It's a movie we've both seen several times, but I had a new revelation I watched with my friend the other night. Jackie Brown once again.
I don't think we've ever talked about a movie more on this podcast.
A phenomenal piece of work. Can I just say this?
I'm prepared now as an adult man to place it in my top 10 of all time.
It's not in my top 10 of all time, but I love it very much.
Yeah.
But I will say this. First time I ever realized the true tragedy of the Max Cherry character. His whole thing is he does for other people, never for himself. And this whole movie is literally him bailing Jackie Brown out of the situation.
Yeah.
And I never fully realized that. It always made me sad at the end.
Yes.
But I never fully realized the metaphor of it all.
I am a very, very, very difficult cry. I don't cry. Recently, I always Jackie Brown's always on like Cinemax, or it's on my favorite cable channel, Stars Black.
Right.
My most watched cable channel is Stars Black.
Now, what are they playing on Stars Black?
They play movies with black leads.
Okay.
And for whatever reason, they're always playing exactly what I want to be watching.
Okay.
I'm just shocked that it exists, Stars Black, and the name is that bold. But I watched Jackie Brown, or I watched like the last half hour of Jackie Brown on cable. And I'm not this guy because I don't like to come into movies late. I like to see the whole thing.
Sure.
But I watch the end of Jackie Brown once a month, probably on cable, and I stay up. If I'm tired, I'm going to bed at 3 and it's on, I'll watch the end of Jackie Brown. That's my one movie. But I've seen it again and again and again and again. For whatever reason, a couple months back, it was on. And when she kisses, in that tight close-up, kisses Max Cherry, Jackie Brown, then goes and gets in her car, and then Max Cherry fades into like hazy in the background, and then she's driving and singing while she's driving there at the end. I was crying.
Yeah.
I couldn't stop crying.
It's a beautiful film.
It's a movie that gets better and better and better, and certainly, like high school, I watched Pulp Fiction 100 times, but over the course of the back half of my life, I've seen Jackie Brown way more, and I'd have to watch them back to back to truly decide which is better. And I never dreamed I'd even be making a comparison because I thought Pulp Fiction was the best.
Every single person hits a grand slam.
Yeah.
Samuel Jackson.
Keaton.
I think it's his best performance.
It is Jackson's best performance.
I think it's his best performance ever. Keaton off the charts. We were hysterical watching the scene where Pam Grier's like, she came into the room and took the bag or whatever. Had Keaton's interrogating her, and he's going, you got no idea. You got no idea. And he starts actually doing like a weird De Niro impression.
Yeah. And they got him with the gum and everything.
Shot of him walking down the hall with the motorcycle helmet under his. I mean, he's awesome,
and his partner's awesome. Whoever that guy.
He's fantastic.
But I feel like even hardcore film fans, I think I told you this and you didn't know, that he plays the same role in Out of Sight.
Yeah, that's the same character.
It's the same character, yes.
I've never seen Out of Sight.
What?
I've never seen Out of Sight. I never saw it. I'm sorry. I never saw Out of Sight.
Out of Sight is a lighter it's a lighter Jackie Brown.
Now, did you see? Oh no, we watched Life of Crime together, which was pretty good. It wasn't terrible, but I thought it was
okay.
I thought it worked. I enjoyed seeing Mos Def and that other guy play the younger versions of the characters.
I like that.
I thought that was cool, and I thought that it was
very early in our friendship. Yes, I would like to say, folks, Out of Sight. It's no Jackie Brown, but Out of Sight is like. It's one of the better movies there is.
All right.
And you need to watch it.
I'll watch it.
Out of Sight is phenomenal. It's the best Clooney's ever been. It's the best Lopez, obviously.
I'll watch it. Now, I saw...
It's also got a massive laugh, a violent, massive laugh along the lines of Pulp Fiction with Marvin.
I saw Jackie Brown on Christmas night when it opened.
I did too. West Olive 16
once again,
Theater.
Pinkstone, myself, a couple other friends, my cousin, one of my cousins, and we smoked a weed that was called Silver Pearl, which, now this was a time when you couldn't get weed in every dime store pharmacy on every corner. This was an exceptional...
So you had a dealer and he was like, this is called Silver Pearl?
Well, when I was coming up, Pat, you had two kinds of weed. You had swag weed and kind bud. Okay. And if you found a guy that had kind bud, that meant he had something that was pure, that wasn't treated with anything, and that always had a name.
Right.
So he gave us this weed. We bought this weed called Silver Pearl, and we smoked it at my buddy's house, and we got crazy high, and then went to see Jackie Brown.
What a dream.
And it was a blast. And I do remember moments in the theater, standout moments in the viewing, because it was a packed theater, because it was before the movie house industry was completely failing.
Right.
And but I do remember one of the standout moments in the theater, at least like as far as audience reactions go, was when De Niro finally turns into De Niro, because he's like this sort of burnout guy through the whole movie.
Yeah.
And then
there's
that scene where and again, Bridget Fonda, just grand slam.
I jerked off so much to Bridget Fonda in that movie.
Clearly Tarantino was just like, be really annoying.
Yeah.
And the way she's following him, going, Lewis.
Yeah.
Lewis. And when he turns and he goes, just fucking stop. I need you to stop. I'm serious.
Yeah.
Don't say another fucking word. I remember the audience getting so excited, like, oh, he's about to go like crazy De Niro.
Yeah.
And then, of course, he shoots her 2 seconds later.
Right.
But
then Jackson shoots him.
Jackson shoots him.
I needed you to be beautiful.
You used to be beautiful.
Used to be beautiful.
What the fuck happened to you? You used to be beautiful, man.
Yeah.
Heartbreaking. Pam Grier at her best. Everybody's at their best. Robert Forster at his best. Everybody is at their best in that film.
Forster to me, and you're talking about a cast of big-time heavy hitters. Forster to me just kills me in that movie. And I think that was the same year. I guess he would have lost to Burt Reynolds. That to me was the best supporting actor year of all time. It was Burt Reynolds in Boogie Nights. Mm-hmm. It was William H. Macy in Fargo.
Wow.
And look, I'm probably wrong with this, but it was a great year for supporting actors.
But he does this thing throughout. Tarantino does this thing throughout Jackie Brown, where he has the actors, break into moments where it's an homage to their greatest characters.
Yeah. When
you first meet Keaton, he's not Keaton. And then later the Keaton comes out, and it's great. When you first meet De Niro, he's not De Niro. Then the De Niro comes out. It's great. When you first meet Pam Grier, she's not doing like the Foxy Brown thing.
Right.
And then there's that fuking tremendous scene where she's like, sit your raggedy ass down.
Yeah.
And she starts doing like the whole fucking Foxy Brown thing.
Yeah.
There are just such fantastic payoffs with the characters.
And then to me, he lets everybody just like talk and hang out. Like easily 45 minutes of that movie has nothing to do with the plot, which is what makes it so special to me.
Yeah.
But even though they didn't fuck, that scene of Forster sitting at Pam Grier's breakfast table when her hair's like down or whatever, that felt to me the most realistic of like sitting with somebody that you fucked the night before.
Sure.
And she, when he goes, I bet aside from an afro, you look about exactly how you looked back in 1970.
Yeah.
And she goes, well, my ass is bigger. And he goes, nothing wrong with that.
Yeah.
That's my favorite line delivery maybe of all time. And this was in an age when the big ass wasn't as de rigueur as it is today. I'm sure I mispronounced de rigueur.
That's another Huge laugh in the theater.
Yeah,
huge
nothing
laugh.
wrong with that.
Huge laugh in the theater when she goes, I don't have any. Oh, she goes, oh, my milk. When she's going to bring coffee, she goes,
Right.
my milk went bad while I was in jail. And he goes, black's fine.
Yeah.
Huge laugh in the theater. Huge laugh.
Yeah, well, I saw it. I'm from St. Louis-ish, but the suburbs. So, like, if I wanted to see an art movie or something that wasn't Home Alone, I had to go into the city.
Right.
So my big theater was the West Olive 16. Every year, the day after Christmas, I would see 5 movies for the price of none. Sneak in. It's kind of a big
You
accomplishment.
dirty bastard.
And one of those years was, of course, Jackie Brown. But to see Jackie Brown with a predominantly black audience
Sure.
was an absolute dream in a way that once I moved to L.A., especially when I was reviewing movies, if I was seeing a Saul movie,
Right.
you go to the Magic Johnson. I mean,
Right.
you just gotta be honest here. I mean, it's a more fun viewing experience, frankly.
I saw Saw 4 with a predominantly black audience in Manhattan, and
Yeah.
people were like, there was an energy in there that almost made me like the movie. Because I didn't really like the movie that much,
The Saw movies are all terrible, but
but it was a great energy. Judd Nelson,
yeah,
co-star of New Jack City,
yeah.
which I always thought Judd...
or Breakfast Club, whatever.
I always thought Judd Hirsch should have co-starred New Jack City.
we got a New Jack situation.
We need to get these cracks off the streets.
These donuts are superior.
Judd Nelson said when New Jack City came out, he would go to like movie theaters in Compton to watch it, and he said it was like an unbelievable experience because it was so much. It was just so much more fun and cool and whatever.
It 100% is. I mean, a big comedy or a horror movie, it just is.
Right.
You know, I don't know what else to say.
I know it does seem very strange to me that I saw Jackie Brown in the very, very, very suburban world that I grew up in Pennsylvania on Christmas night, and it was still sold out, and there were still there was a very strong reaction with it. That's very odd to me to think that just wouldn't happen now. You know, I mean, we live in a world now where it's like, you know, goddamn, you know, the next Star Wars could come out on Christmas Day. It's going to be a quarter full.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, that's just not a thing that happens anymore.
Well, and everybody was like, it's not Pulp Fiction and whatever else. We've talked about Jackie Brown a bunch on this, but I remember seeing the clip on Letterman, and Letterman was so giddy about Jackie Brown.
Right.
And they showed the clip that Letterman wanted to show, not the studio clip. And it was Samuel L. Jackson going like, don't fuck with my levels now.
Yeah.
In the car. And he goes, now you click this button, you're going to hear a little ooh, ooh.
Yeah, it's great.
It had no plot, nothing. And Letterman was like, this moment, he's like, I love this so much.
Yeah, it's
and
great.
That was the clip they showed.
Apparently on the set, they did a joke where they had a big dildo that they would take pictures of, like, if you fell asleep and, you know, when you were on a break, they would take a picture of you with a dildo. But apparently through the whole production, Tarantino kept saying, like, this is going to be the funniest movie ever. Like, I think he very much saw it as a
Really?
comedy. And
All
I got to
right.
say, when I watch it, I laugh a lot.
It's very, very funny.
It really, really makes me laugh.
And to me, and, you know, you can't fuck with Pulp Fiction. It's an all-time classic.
That's my favorite Tarantino.
I think it's probably barely mine. It always would have been number one with a bullet. Now it's getting a little more murky. But Pulp Fiction's dialogue feels a lot more dialogue-y.
Sure.
And its jokes feel a lot more jokey than Jackie Brown. Jackie Brown, and he never found it again after that, just feels very natural and real and just fucking awesome.
Yeah, it's
the best.
It's a tremendous film. And speaking of which, we're at 57 minutes. We haven't.
And we've said this before. I don't know that we've ever gone this far without talking about the subject.
Never
at hand.
ever. So, Pat, in closing, did you like the Twin Peaks finale?
I thought Twin Peaks fell apart for at least 10 episodes. The final episode, I like the final minute of the final episode with the quick flash of her outside of the house.
Right.
I'll remember that forever. I thought it was awesome. Did I need the 50 minutes of them driving in silence that preceded it?
Right.
Fuck no, I didn't.
Okay.
But when I look back on the season at large, I go, you know, I liked less of it than I liked.
Okay.
Did that make sense?
It does.
I didn't like much of it, but when I look back on it as a whole, I gotta admit there's a lot of moments and images and sounds and shit that will probably stay with me forever, and that's Lynch to a T.
Absolutely.
I thought it was a disaster, frankly, but I'm glad I watched all of it.
I felt like, and I was very glad I hung in there for the certain payoffs that came throughout the season, the biggest of which, of course, was Cooper waking up, and then him turning to camera and going, I am the FBI, as the Twin Peaks music plays. I was disappointed there was not more of a payoff with Audrey Horne's storyline.
Yeah.
You know, there were a lot of things that were left.
Oh, I would argue that Audrey Horne in this new version was one of the worst television characters of all time.
Well, but then she did the dance, and then she woke up in that weird white room, and I thought, oh, okay, something's going on here, and they never explained it. And of course, Twin Peaks or David Lynch in general, it's not the kind of thing where they're going to go, here's the meaning of the box where the alien appears. I get that, but I would have liked a little more closure. That all being said, and given the reviews and dissections I've read and analyses that I've read about the new season, I liked it.
I'd love to get into the reviews and dissection. However,
I think
nobody could argue that you could have cut 10 hours out of this.
Yeah. Well, let me say this though. That's what I'm getting at. Is some of the analyses that I've read made me think, okay, if I went back and rewatched this again. You know, especially if I rewatched it as a whole piece from episode 1 of the original series up through this. Okay, there's probably a lot more going on that I didn't tune into.
Right.
But I think Lynch, you know, sort of misstepped when he, you know, because I think we mentioned this in the podcast when he went to Showtime and said, like, look, I'm going to shoot like 70 hours and I'll just deliver a show.
Yeah, they should have kept him to the initial 10 or whatever it was.
Yeah. So, you know.
I don't know. I mean, there were whole episodes. It was building up on my DVR and I didn't want to watch it. I never dreamed that could happen with Twin Peaks.
It is strange.
Like, you know what? I don't care. I don't want to watch this. But there were great moments.
As far as the finale goes,
yeah,
I loved the reveal of Cooper is going to try to assure that the murder never happened.
Yeah.
I thought that was so fucking cool. I love that in the last episode they start showing clips from the first episode.
Right.
There were such cool moments. I love the ending, which is basically like he thinks he's saved her, but he hasn't. And in the last moment, she realizes she is Laura Palmer and she is going to be tortured and they are never going to escape this hell.
The last moment is an A fucking plus.
Yeah.
I mean,
all that stuff was awesome.
It almost made it worthwhile.
Yeah. All that stuff was awesome. So you're left with this sort of strange, perplexing question, which is, should it have been shorter? Should it have been tighter? Should it have been neater? Or because it was laborious in certain time in many places, did that make the payoffs much more worthwhile? And that's the
answer is no.
Well, I'm confused there.
For me, but I think that Lynch was fucking with, clearly, he was like, if you want to give me this money and you all want this show, I'm going to make you sit through some art shit, and it's not always going to be entertaining. I think there was clearly an element of fucking with you, and the ultimate proof of that to me was when Dale Cooper finally pops out of his coma. The first thing the character says is finally. Because everyone is like, finally, of course. I mean, he knew what he was doing, and I don't think he needed to do it. I don't know why he felt he needed to punish the fans of Twin Peaks. But in a way, he was.
I will say this: had Cooper come out when I thought he was going to come out, I would have been like, "Oh, cool, Cooper's awake." When he came out, when he did, I was giddy. I was giddy. I was like, he's awake. So I was like, okay, is that kind of the thing? Where
I think you would have had the same reveal if I mean, 6 episodes of this thing drop away, nothing changes.
Yeah, that's true. That's very true.
I don't know.
All right.
There was an element of me being kind of pissed off by the whole thing, and yet I watched it every week. I had a great time. You know.
I've been watching Lynch interviews, and they're just...
I know. Well, I'm going to get that new Criterion of like, it's like a documentary about him. But
he's an awesome guy, but like him telling the story of like going with George Lucas to like to interview to direct Return of the Jedi, and he's like I go to meet George Lucas, and he says, I want you to direct the next Star Wars, and at this point I'm sweating and I feel like I'm going to have a panic attack. And he's like, then he takes me to a restaurant. You know, you go to a restaurant sometimes and you order salad. All this place served was salad. And it's like literally just the whole story is like George Lucas is like offering him like $1 gazillion. And then he's like calling his agent and being like, you got to get me out of this. I can't do it. And like
I would have there's no one with more integrity than David Lynch. I would have killed to see David Lynch's take of Return of the Jedi. If it was Dune, then I'm glad he didn't do it because Dune is a monstrosity. It's a terrible movie.
Harlan Ellison claims, and I love Harlan Ellison, claims the movie is fantastic and claims that everybody in the movie is impeccable except for Kyle MacLachlan. You know, who he goes, he did a fine job. He puts Sting above the audacity. Yeah. I love Harlan Ellison, but come on.
No, I mean, I don't apparently they're open to doing more of these Twin Peaks, but
They are?
Yeah, it just.
I feel like. Did you get the? I got the feeling that they were not saying this is over. I got the feeling that they were saying we're slowly building to bringing these people back to Twin Peaks, and we're probably going to do another season where it's way more. We're back in Twin Peaks now, because they certainly didn't tie up all the loose ends.
Almost none, really,
at all.
What I heard was that out the gate, Showtime subscription rates went up drastically, like before the premiere. But by the end, almost nobody was watching Twin Peaks. That's why, you know, hopefully you're thankful that for the large majority of this podcast, we didn't talk Twin Peaks because probably a lot of you didn't watch it. But apparently it was one of their lowest rated shows by the end. Everybody was just like, I'm not watching this. And I get that. I mean, it's certainly a lot to ask of your average person. And by the end, it was a lot to ask of your average Twin Peaks fan.
Well, that's what I would say.
And that's a person who's got a pretty open mind.
That's what I would say.
Entertainment.
I would say in this day and age, I get it if you don't want to cater to the sort of, you know, YouTube generation or people that want instant gratification and instant payoffs within 3 minutes or whatever. I get that if you don't want to cater to that. But this went so far against that.
Yeah.
That it was like, dude, this is even like tough as like somebody who was like excited about this.
I know.
This relaunch. But overall, I liked it. I liked more than I disliked. And I feel like if I had the patience, not even the patience, just the time to sit down and rewatch all this again in a very comprehensive session, I feel like I would feel very differently about it. Yeah. I feel like I would like it much more. I just unfortunately don't have that kind of time. So God bless Lynch for doing that kind of thing for the people that have that time.
And at his age to be churning out this challenging of shit.
Yeah.
It's impressive.
And there are Lynch fans out there that will take that kind of time with it. So that's it. All Beautiful. Right. 1 hour and 7 minutes, buddy. This is a long one. Whew.
It was. Folks, I'm at Twitter and Instagram at the Patrick Walsh. Joe, go.
I'm on mainly Instagram. I'm only posting to Twitter through Instagram right now.
Right.
Come follow me on Instagram if you could, please, at Joe DeRosa Comedy. And I will be coming to the Pittsburgh Improv the weekend of the October 21st to do shows. So come on out if you're out there.
And we're hitting a near Halloween time. I guess it was 2 years ago that you and I did that Columbine Horror Film Festival. 2 years? At least 2 years.
The what?
It was in Columbine. You and I.
Oh, the Mile High Fest. Yeah.
You know, bring us to your fucking festivals. We'd love to tour. We'd love to do whatever.
Yes, Pat and I are available. What we would like to do is come in and we will just do a live commentary to a movie that you guys want to see. We did Maniac Cop 2 at the Mile High Fest. We were not, prior to that, huge fans of Maniac Cop 2. We have been since. But the festival asked us to do that one, so we did it. So we'll gladly do that again at any festival and with the movie of your choosing.
Bring us out. We'll see you next week. We don't have something picked out yet, but I know that if it's not next week, I don't know when it comes out, but we'll definitely be doing the new Blade Runner.
Oh, yeah.
Joe and I are going to go see that together.
People are
and discuss it.
Early reviews, I'll tell you this, early reviews of Blade Runner and Justice League are through the roof.
All right.
People are saying these are fucking masterpieces. Blade Runner, they're saying it is darker, it is like crazier. It's,
I can't wait to see it, and it's all because of Villeneuve, the guy who did Prisoners, which we discussed on the show.
And I'm always a fan of seeing Ford come back into one of his iconic roles. So, all right.
We'll see you next time, folks, and we'll see you in hell.
That was a HeadGum podcast.